वैसे ही ठीक है.
Welcome to the Claws YouTube channel.
Together, we strive for a safer, secure, and more stable world.
Hello and welcome to Strategic Frontlines, the YouTube channel of Center for Land Warfare Studies. And as Air Chief Marshal H.P. Singh is known to stir the pot at the right time, so he has again stirred the pot yesterday by making a statement which has actually gone global viral. So, and to discuss this, we could have had no one better than Air Marshal Rajeev Sachdeva, former Deputy Chief Defence Staff, Headquarter Integrated Defence Staff, and also he has been a pilot and also understand the ways and means to plan air operations. So, therefore, we couldn't have asked for anyone better to actually explain and clarify the claims, counter claims of various people. But before I do that, a very warm welcome to you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Dushyant.
Yeah,
It's always a pleasure to come back.
Yeah,
As it's a pleasure to come to Claws for discussing the air matters.
Yes, definitely, and we go a long way. So therefore, I would also like to convey to my audience that we are sorry that we were unable to connect at the right time due to some technical problems, but those technical problems have been partially resolved. So we thought, let's go ahead. So Air Marshal Rajiv Sachdeva will be on mobile, so kindly bear with us for the narrow look which you will see him when I put him on the full-blown screen. With that, what I will do is I'll briefly set the stage by covering what all has happened in the last one day. So I'll first go ahead and you know cover this uh, what happened yesterday or day before yesterday when the air chief gave this statement, and immediately the media caught on to it. So this was the statement which the defense minister of Pakistan made, and it kind of tells you all that why this statement of Indian Air Force chief is stirring the pot again. So what I will do is I will cover a brief presentation which will be kind of giving you a overview of the entire happenings for the last 2 3 days. So first of all, let me tell you that it's an opportunity for anti-India lobby both inside India as well as outside India to really cash on this particular statement. And what I will do is I will exactly cover what the internal lobby is saying and what the external lobby is saying, and then finally convey also the risks involved. And after that, I'll request Air Marshal Rajeev Sachdeva to address these lurking doubts which people have in their mind regarding the Indian claim. So, going straight ahead, this is what the Chinese media is saying. Self amusement is the headline given by the Global Times. Chinese expert spurns India's claim on downing Pakistan jets. This is by Professor Cheng Zizong, a senior research fellow at the Charahar Institute. So, therefore, you can see that again a collusive narrative has started building against the Indian Air Force chief's statement. We have no doubts, but you will see that the international media, and also I would guess and I would dare that in a few days' time, the other international media would also pick it up and try to pick holes in the statements, which claims which we have made, or which Air Chief Marshal Singh has given day before yesterday. So ACM Amarpreet Singh said Indian Air Force down 5 Pakistani jets and 1 AEW&C aircraft. Like, I would like to add here, it's not a new news. Our claim of downing these 5 aircraft jets and AEW and C, if you all have been following the various news which were coming out during the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 88 hours conflict, we had clearly demonstrated that under a hangar, few F-16 had also been destroyed, and we had actually said that as and when we get concrete proofs of it, we will convey that. So it is not that we are doing it after 3 months. Operation Sindoor was a retaliatory strike. All of you are aware of it. Post the Pahalgam, they start the attack done by the terrorists backed by Pakistan, supported by Pakistan, operating from the soil of Pakistan, and the claim is supported by satellite imagery. That is, the Indian claim has been supported by satellite imagery, and the air chief has given out very clearly the satellite images which are conveying the claim which he has made. So the claim of the international media that no proof has been given is absolutely wrong. Pakistan denies losses. Of course, it will continue to deny losses. It has been its habit. And in fact, in counter, they are saying that we were quiet about our own losses. We have very clearly said this. C.D.S. Chauhan has said this. And Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet said that we did not suffer six any losses during this particular Operation Sindoor. So I don't think we have to be more clearer than this. But as international media, so what is the external criticism? Baseless claim, lacking independent verification, inflaming nuclear tension, says Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif. Delayed disclosures and reliance on India's data suggest fabrication. Exaggerated S-400 kill to showcase Russian weaponry, ignoring Pakistan's counterclaim. I don't think we are doing anything of that sort. We don't have to propagate the S-400's capability. It is known to the world. It is one of the best in its category as of today in the world. India's risk escalation for domestic political mileage has been, this is the claim which they are trying to make. I don't think so. If we wanted, we could have done it long time back. Narrative omits India's own aircraft losses. Again, we have repeated umpteen number of times on this particular issue. But this is what the external papers are saying, whether it is Xinhua, whether it is Global Times, whether it is Dawn, all these papers. Unfortunately, if you all try to go to these news portals, you'll not be able to go, get them. Maybe through your mobile, you'll be able to reach them out. I actually reach them out through my mobile. Then internal lobby, here the real game starts. Modi government hyping claims to distract from Indian Air Force own losses. कौटिल्य ने एक बार बहुत पहले बोला था कि बाहर के घाव से ज्यादा खतरनाक होता है अंदर का एक तिल. और this is what is going to be the real test case for India's unity, and which I feel is not going to happen the way these guys are making statements. I'm not a political guy, so I will not pin a person who's doing all these things. Why silence on India's aircraft losses while touting unverified Pakistani losses? Look at the way people are trying to, give these statements. Nationalist propaganda for electoral gains, not strategic success. S-400 effectiveness questionable if India suffered losses. Wow. This is something which I feel it can only come from an anti-Indian personality who all are saying all this. Let's see in the future what is going to be their tone and tenor. Focus on Pakistani losses diverts from defense modernization gaps. We are on track, as you have seen these statements made by defense minister and all. We are going ahead with all our procurement, whether through imports or whether through indigenization and Atmanirbhar Bharat. In fact, as of today, we stand at 65% of our equipment is indigenized, 35% is still import. Of course, most of it is critical equipment, but we are slowly covering that gap as well. With this, what I would say is that there is a geopolitical risk in this particular statement, the way our internal and external lobbies are trying to go after us. Domestic concerns are that it will fuel political debates and try to distract the government and the public from the real issues. Defense narrative is being challenged. India's self-reliance goals, if delays and losses are highlighted. And finally, need for transparency. Independent evidence could counter lobby's narrative. So this, I suppose, in due course of time, we should be able to come out with even more concrete evidence. But as and when it comes out, I think we will share it with the media. With that, I will go off air, and I'll request Air Marshal Sachdeva to kindly, first of all, blast the so-called external and internal lobby trying to question the statement of Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh. You know him well also, and you worked with him in the past, and you have been in Air Force operational planning, etc. In whatever way. I mean, you may not have been directly involved, but given your past experiences, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dushyant. First of all, one needs to understand that this is not a politician making a statement against a political statement. This was a chief of the air staff who has spoken. And he very clearly said, yeah, I still remember his words. I mean, they're loud and clear in the mind when he said, I am making this statement, so one should not have any doubt in whatever I am saying. I think, first of all, he made it very clear instead of the two of us discussing this. Now, when he is talking about, I mean, when you're showing what the external sources are saying, because if the whole world had actually stopped talking Operation Sindoor because we had accepted that there were some aeroplanes which were downed on our side. So the world was happy with that. Pakistan was happy with that, and so were the internal politics, and everything had died down with that. But now, when a statement is reignited by saying, no, what we did on the other side. First of all, I'm very, very glad that till yesterday we were discussing how many aeroplanes have been down on this side, and today the whole debate has changed over to how
Absolutely.
many aeroplanes and what all damage has happened on the other side. The damage on the ground cannot be as certain other than the satellite imagery. So the satellites have shown that the hangars have gone. How much have gone inside the hangar? We still don't know. How much the runway is destroyed? We still don't know whether they've been able to repair or not. What all buildings have gone? We don't know what was there inside that. That only the human can go there and find out, and somebody can leak out from the other side. The air chief has very clearly said how much damage have we been able to inflict on them through air. If you remember, CDS in Singapore very clearly mentioned that the tactics were changed the second day. He never said the tactics had failed. Some people were saying that he said tactics had failed. No, no, no. Tactics in war don't fail. They evolve and they change every day as the war is progressing. So the tactics have changed the next day. Now, what I can think of, who had been in this air defense game as a SASO in one of the commands, operational command, that the tactics had changed, mean that the India had decided to take on a AEWSC aircraft which was SAP 2000 and shot it at 300 kilometers. But that was the aeroplane which was creating a chaos or maybe helping the Pakistani aeroplanes to down our aeroplanes. I really don't know this. But yes, we can presume with all the talks which are happening, joining the dots together, that maybe that is what was creating a problem. So the tactics were changed to first take on that particular aircraft, which was a massive air defense setback to Pakistan. Now, once that has happened, we have taken on 6 radars, as the chief has mentioned, some big, some small. All these air defense system, whether it was radar or the missile which was supposed to take on our missiles, and the electronics which was used in SAP 2000, as we hear, was Chinese made. Now, if a Chinese has to make a statement against what the chief has said, is absolutely right. You are indirectly saying that the Chinese aeroplanes were down, maybe J-10, J-17s. Their air defense system, both the radars and the missiles failed, and whatever electronics they put in SAP 2000 was disused by putting the SAP 2000 down. Now, that the China will have to counter. Our own losses being hidden. Who's hiding our own losses? I don't think the chief or the CDS or anybody is saying that we didn't have any losses. That's and even the DG AO on the very first day said, yes, we had our losses. That's part of the game. When we talk about our losses, I just want to make a statement here. We all say the Second World War was won by the Americans and the Allied forces and the Russians. Yes, on the Russians, the final culmination came. 65,000 aeroplanes were lost by Americans, and almost 35,000 aeroplanes were lost by the Europeans, and another 1 lakh aeroplanes were lost by the Russians. But they still won the Second World War. So downing aeroplane is not a decisive factor to say that we won the war or we lost the war. But understand that what damage India has been able to do over Pakistan, as the chief claims, And that's the narrative which the chief of air staff is giving. It's not a political narrative. And I don't think this particular seminar was organized to counter a statement made by somebody somewhere, whether India or outside. No, it was just a seminar which was lined up maybe 3 4 months ago, and that's where the chief makes his statement when a question is asked to him. So I think the chief making a statement, and he very clearly saying, and the very next day, the army chief also making a statement that nobody told us how to go about war, because that's our profession and we've gone ahead with the war the way we wanted to go ahead. So I think we should, because it's the statement by the chief, we should rest it here itself.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, Rajeev, I would like to quote here Ved Malik. He was the chief when the Kargil war took place, and he made a very nice one-line statement on the X, and he said, "When the air chief says he is saying with facts, he should not be questioned." I think that is a very, very, very telling message for our internal lobbyists who are trying to pick holes. We can't stop the external lobbyists from talking what they are talking, but at least the internal lobbies must, or internal people must believe in their air chief. He's not going to make a statement just out of air. Now, the question which I wanted to ask you was that, look, this issue about the losses of the Pakistani jets was actually calculated by one of our experts during our one of the podcasts which we were doing, and he had made a rough estimate of about 8 to 9. In fact, he's gone up to 10 aircraft total, including the AEW aircraft which we are talking about, the airborne AVX which we are talking of. And that, you rightly highlighted, was the was the kind of uh, deployment which was actually hurting us in undertaking our air operation. And he had given logic for it, but possibly, I know you can further highlight. The air chief waited himself to speak about it once he was sure enough, and possibly he had got some inputs that yes, 5+1 is a confirmed uh, destruction of Pakistani air assets, and then possibly he made it very clear to the common public of India that Pakistan suffered. So, what do you have to say on that? You spoke about human int, etc., etc. So maybe uh, is that the case? Why we delayed it for so long, or the air chief mentioned it? Besides the fact that it was a seminar which was probably planned well before well before 9th of August. Yeah.
but I don't think that this was some timing which was being done, because we have a lot of political equations which are moving around in the coming up in this month itself. But I don't think that this was hidden somewhere or had to be taken out by the chief. I think the DGMAO had clearly mentioned what has happened, but I don't think there was a game plan in this. I am
No,
not
no, no, no,
going
no,
ahead
no,
with
no,
that.
no. I'm not talking of a game plan. I'm saying that the
Mhm.
chief conveyed it personally only when he was sure, through, like you said, the damages had to be confirmed by human intelligence, other sources,
No, no, no.
etc.,
What I
etc.
mentioned, no, no. What
So
I'm these aeroplanes which.
probably when the efforts was sure enough, dead sure, I don't want to use the word which we use in our parlance, that yes, six worth to pakka gaya. And that is how, when he decided to open up about it, not related to any timing, but related to the fact that information became more concrete for him to say so.
See, the aeroplanes which the chief is mentioned have been down. They are visible right there as they are shot down. They vanish from the radar scope. They go off from the radar scope, and whether the kill is confirmed, that is known on the very first day, as soon as you shot them down. So what I was talking about, the human, is the aircraft which have been destroyed on ground, because you don't
That's
have
what
an
I'm saying.
access to them. That is a different
That's what
thing.
I'm saying.
That
That's what I'm
that will
saying.
be
That
6+.
may
That will be.
okay.
Those numbers
Okay.
will be 6+. These six are those which have been down by the Indian Air Force in the air itself. This is what he
So,
clearly
so,
mentioned.
So the
So
expert, I don't want to name him now today, when he said 10, possibly because he mentioned clearly four or five, like what you are saying, and four or five under the hanger. So total became 10. He had given a figure of 10. So I mean, you're also confirming that the numbers are actually six plus and not six only.
no, six are in the air. And if you remember, the air chief also mentioned that maybe there were two F-16s and in the hangar under repair. So, but he also said I cannot confirm that, because that there's no way to confirm those, because that's happened inside the airfield. Unless somebody goes there and counts and comes out and says, okay, so many have gone down. Or so this is six is confirmed kill in the air, is what the chief is saying. Plus is left to the Pakistanis to count. We don't have to actually go and count them. We know that the destruction has happened. The capability has gone down. We have actually shown them that we can go. Like Chief was so excited that during my time I've been able to go to Sargodha. It was always a dream to go reach there, and here I reach Sargodha before I hang my uniform. So that's I mean, in '65 also we reached Sargodha once, but now we've again reached Sargodha, but without crossing the border. We've done that, and that's how your capability of S-400 is come forward.
Okay. No, so what I would wish to ask you the next question is that, how do we convince the internal public of ours, which continues to ask questions which are not really relevant? Do we have any means other than what the air chief has said? Look, people are continuously saying that if the air chief has said, then it is the fact. But there are so many naysayers. I showed you those slides, which where people are actually coming out in the open and trying to question the services credibility. And the second thing is about political freedom. I think on now numerous occasions, all three chiefs, the Army, Air Force, Navy, and the CDS, have made it very clear that there was no political restriction. Yet, people continue to, you know, levy such kind of claims. Possibly, they are reflecting what they used to do during their time. Over to you.
On 13th of May itself, once the operation stopped on 10th of May, on 13th May, a few of us, I think you were also there along with me, a few of us were invited by the CDS to Manekshaw Center, and we had the CDS and all the three chiefs sitting on the stage and addressing the
Yeah.
30-40 veterans in Delhi area. And they told us exactly what happened from 23rd of April when the PM came back from Saudi Arabia, his briefing till the 10th, what exactly happened, how it happened, what were the instructions, and how they went about the whole thing, and how the three forces along under the CDS joined up and did this, which even the chief of the air staff mentioned that it was a good thing that the CDS was created. All four of them were sitting together. And like I got up in that meeting and also said that this is the first time that we have only one operational name to an operation. Otherwise, even Kargil has different names by the Air Force and different by the Navy. Notwithstanding that, the we have seen pictures of the briefing being conducted with the Prime Minister. And I clearly remember in that picture, it was the Prime Minister, the Defense Minister, the NSA, and the four chiefs. That was the composition. Now, when the four chiefs are sitting with these three national leaders who are going to make a decision, I'm very sure the military decisions were left to them, as the Air Chief mentioned and the CDS mentioned to us, that there was no iota of interference in our warfare, because the warfare, actually, the capability and the stronghold is of the four chiefs. And they sat together and decided what to do. And I clearly remember that the CDS mentioning that this time the four of us sat together before the PM called us, and they went and they decided that we will say yes to everything, that we are ready for war. Exactly what the Raksha Mantri mentioned in the parliament. That it was so heartening to see when the four chiefs walked in, they said, Sir, jo bologe hum karne ko taiyar hai. Now that's the way the leadership, the top leadership, the seven of them were engaged this time. The integration happened to that level. So I'm very sure what the air chief has said is in sync with what they had told the veterans on the 13th of May, and it flows out of that. So
And
that's
that's true. That's true, Rajiv. And after that, remember what was actually told to them, and they mentioned it very clearly. The reply given to them was, "Go ahead, do whatever is best as per your plans as per your timing, as per your locations where you want to do it, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, how many, how much of a damage you're going to cause. Everything was left to the for the bigwigs of our Indian Armed Forces, and I think thereafter they went back and planned it in a very very deliberate manner, going through each and
And
every detail.
and
And the army chief mentioned it, very very beautifully yesterday, and I heard him in person in Chennai when I had gone for some inauguration of a research center, which is a IIT Indian Army Research Center on development of new weapons and new technologies, etc. Where he said the entire operation was a we means the Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces played it as a game of chess. What do you do in a game of chess? In a game of chess, you're planning 3 to 4 steps ahead. So I think that the whole idea of planning this particular operations was also conveyed by the air chief when he said it was left to us how to control the escalation ladder, how to ride. He said how to ride the escalation ladder was the exact word which he used. So I think that we wouldn't have seen such like synergy in the past. And I have done about 39 years of service in the Indian Armed Forces, seen few of many of operations which we have done, but this kind of a synergy I never found in the past, and I think it goes to the credit. And this video or this particular program should convey to the people of India that hey, don't just pick holes for the sake of picking holes. Be united and put up a front in front of the international media that you guys are saying all bakwas. So uh, I don't know, how do you look at my statement? I am little aggressive kind of a person, so but you can give a
um,
calmer response to what the way I said this particular issue.
See, being a Cosmet, even I've spent 39 years in the uniform. But out of those 39 years, let me tell you that I have spent 12 years in the Integrated Defense Staff alone. I am the only one in this country who has served in all the four verticals of intelligence, the operations, the training, and the PPNFD. And the frustration which, as a serving member in the Integrated Defense Staff, which used to go through that, something which you've come up with, which will integrate the forces, is not being accepted by the three forces. Why? Because you did not have a chief in the Integrated Defense Staff. Today, on 1st of January 2020, when the chief came in the form of a CDS, the things actually all the three services wanted to integrate, because there is something which the army can do but it cannot do unless the air force comes in, and so on. I am actually feeling jealous and a feeling left out, that now that I have retired and these forces have integrated so well, which I tried so hard when I was sitting in those chairs. I mean, as an air commodore, as an air vice marshal, as an air marshal, I've been in all these three appointments, all the four appointments, and the integration which you wanted to happen has been shown in the Ops Sindoor. And why the integration has happened? Because the four of them were together. And if you remember the CDS mentioning that every escalation ladder, every step even had sub steps. And they were climbing those sub steps also gradually. Within these 88 hours, they've done so much. And I remember CDS or the army chief mentioning that they did speak to the PM. Sir, what if we hit the topmost escalation ladder by them going nuclear? He said, that you leave to me. Carry on with whatever plans you have. I mean, that's the kind of synergy they have shown this time. And I'm actually feeling left out from this synergy game, because I was the chairman of the JOCOM when the present CDS was also a member, being the DGMO there. I remember the kind of decisions we used to take, but we had to put our decisions in front of the vice chiefs and the chiefs. Today they are integrated, and I'm really feeling left out. So I
Yes,
being in
absolutely.
ideas, I can tell you how they have integrated and well done so well that some of the even the human beings or the personnel required by one service and an expert was in the other service, he is moved to from the navy to the army to help them to do achieve something. So that's the kind of synergy or integration which has happened this time, which has given results, and it will give future results also. I think theater commands, whatever was thought of, that this is how a theater command will look like, will now get refined for a better theater operations of tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I couldn't agree less with you, and I understand that the the pain which a soldier who was retired gets when he's out of the game, out of the play, and out of the action, as they say. And regarding this jointness, just to add to your thing that when the IDS was created, exactly 2 years later, I did my LDMC. That was the last LDMC, and from there on, I became an instructor, and we did two studies. And guess who was the permanent chief of staff committee at that point in time, which is now converted to a CDS, independent person, was Admiral Arun Prakash. And Admiral Arun Prakash came to the College of Defense Management. I was the DS squad at that point in time. He told me that he told the commandant that, look, I want to do a study on jointness and theaterization. So we said we are more than happy to take it on. And believe you me, that first study, I was the DS, so I became the DS in charge, and Raj was the student that time. I'm talking of Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, who's member UPSC today, and that time he was doing the SDNC 1. So we took on that responsibility in 2006. In 2006, we did this particular study. 2005, in fact, the IDS was created around 2001 or so, and 2005 we did that study. That study has remained as the Bible till today. We did in fact two studies. First, I did with Raj, and second time I did with a naval officer, Commodore Garg. I think. You would be possibly not knowing him, but he was also student in the next SDMC. So we took it on as a second step toward HR integration. There is one thing called the theaterization and jointness, and second thing was how to integrate the people in this. And both these studies actually have been the basic document upon which subsequently Naresh Chandra and so on and so forth. So many studies have been made. Some of them were made by some of them were done by the Indian armed forces itself. It went through commands. It went through some kind of tossing it around, criticizing it also. But ultimately, everybody is coming around to that study. So that's what I'm saying, that when you have been part of that journey of creating a force which is going to give results to the country in a national security domain, you feel hurt when people who have no idea of national security, who have no idea of planning operations, who have no idea of knowing even the basics of such action, claiming and giving statements which are absolutely out of the world. I sometimes used to feel so frustrated that when I used to hear these people talking, and I'd go and sock them off. So anyway, that we can't do. We are a more balanced and क्या बोलते हैं, I would say apolitical forces, and we respect that such kind of discussions and debates are good for overall health of the nation. But it should not go to a limit of absolutely a stage where the armed forces are losing their morale. I think that should become a very, very that should be the point where they should draw back. They should pull back. They should pull back their punches. And I am talking of the internal. I'm not concerned about the external. So I think if you want to add anything more to this particular debate, you can add it. Thereafter, we'll take some questions.
See, when you're talking about morale, internal moral statements, uh, I don't think that the armed forces are getting demotivated or the morale is shifting because of these statements. If somebody is getting up and saying that we bought Rafales and we refuse to cross the border to go and attack, obviously the armed forces are not getting, the morale is not shifting here, or we were actually laughing it away. That okay, that's how the war
No,
fighting
no,
will
no,
be
but
done. So we've
no, but
so we're not worried
the
about that.
I'm worried about the ignorance part. Don't comment if you don't know it.
But you have to comment. There are some people, some positions, some appointments which have to comment because. But telling the armed forces how should you fight with your Rafales is, I think it's going beyond their shoes.
I'm
But let them carry on.
I-
But it's just
I'm
not
talking
affecting
about
the
that
armed
only.
forces. I'm 100% sure it's just not affecting the armed forces, because if it would have affected, like the Balakot, everybody wanted to know, please give us the proof. Where is the proof? Please tell us. How can you say that you have done this? All that was happening. It didn't affect the morale. We've gone ahead and done Op Sindoor after that. So there's nothing which is stopping us. I mean, these statements or these kind of things, they're only going down and down as far as our mind is concerned. The armed forces are concerned. So nothing is affecting us. External, yes, we know that India is rising, and nobody wants you to rise. You were one of the fragile economies a decade ago. Now you're thrashing those economies which were you're converting the good economies to fragile economy. I don't know what is going to happen on the 25th, and once the 21 days go off of the tariff. Small countries like Brazil and Canada, I'm saying small because economically they are small as far as we are concerned, and they are playing havoc into the system. Let our turn come. I'm sure we will show to the world that don't worry, you're playing around with the wrong team here. And there is so much happening in the ecosystem today, where an NSA going and meeting a president across on the other side. I mean, it's he's just a national security advisor, and he gets a hearing from a president, and a president wants to come here, and you are going somewhere. I mean, it's a big thing which is happening for India. So external forces will die off after a few years, but internal, we are not bothered. Let them carry on. Whoever is, they were asking for Sabut DGA that Balakot has happened. This time we came out with Sabut. I think that also went against us, because to gather a Sabut, the satellite had to come one day later to give you the picture. So our narrative was only based on Sabut, because our focus was to get Sabut this time. And I'm sure we are a very, very fast changing country. And you stop the PL 480 for us. We become the largest wheat producer in this country. You stop the supercomputers to
Absolutely.
us, and we make computers
Absolutely.
for you. We make your softwares today. You stop anything for us, we will do it on our own. The chips are going to come out the next year. We're going to be one of the largest manufacturer. The pharma, we are the best. So this nation is not worried about the external forces, and internal we are.
Yes.
We just laugh at
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. The challenges bring the best in you. 1998, I think, is a
Absolutely.
sterling example of how we were able to actually conquer the space. That, to my mind, was a game-changing event. And I think today the tariffs are the next big 1998. With the tariffs, we will rise to, we were supposed to be, becoming a developed nation by XYZ time, 2039. Somebody said 2045. I'm telling you, we are going to hasten up that process, because the fact that we are being challenged from all over. I think our people have that necessary kamsham in them to move ahead and push ahead. So with that, we will take a few questions and then call it a short. Okay, there are a number of questions. Yeah, so go ahead, Yuvraj. Is this hubris of Pakistan good or bad? Good for us as they overrate themselves. Bad because they now somehow they are trolling us on social media and bombing media reports with their comments. Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, there's.
You want to say something?
I think the answer is within the question itself. That
Yeah.
well, you
Yeah.
just take it
Basically,
on. I
see,
think.
see
Mhm.
yeah, basically social media, these wars on social media will keep on going on, and I think we have enough social media warriors of ours also who will try to respond to them. The services should not be deeply involved with day-to-day social media activities. Narrative building, yes, there we need to be carefully crafting our narrative, and for that necessary action is being taken. Yeah, Yuraj, go to the next one. Sir, vis-a-vis political restrictions, can we credibly assume that the forces were initially restrained from attacking military installations once Pak forces attacked, then no holds barred from us? You want to answer?
See,
Or
I,
I can
I
answer
think
anyway.
I think the objective of Operation Sindoor, as given, was very clear: to take on the terrorist targets. That's about all.
Absolutely.
And within 10 minutes, a call was given by the DGM to the DGM on the other side that we've done only the terrorist scam, and that's the end of it. Now, if Pakistan comes in and attacks your military installation, like the way they went into 15 airfields starting from Avantipur all the way to down to Gujarat, we have to give them back. That means we were ready with this particular response. And the very next day, first of all, we took on every munition which was coming from the other side. That means we are air defense, or you may call it an iron dome or a golden dome, whatever, that came into play, and every munition which was coming from the other side was taken down. In fact, somebody said that one was even heading towards Delhi, and even that was taken down by the air defense system. Now, that was what happened. Then we had to give it back to them. Come on, we told you that we're only going for terrorist camp and you're going for military installations. We need to punish you. And we punished them. That's about all. So, where was there was no hold back. If there was a hold back, we would have taken some time, sir. They have come in. What do we do? No, we were ready. The very responses were so fast. Like the seniors mentioned, that on the 10th morning, when the call came at 9 o'clock from the DGMO, it was denied. The call was not taken because at 10 o'clock, maybe we had planned to take on their airfields. So if we took a call at 9 o'clock and he said, okay, don't attack anymore. And yes, because our aim was not to attack the military installations, our aim was only to take on the terrorist target. As soon as they said stop, we said, okay, stop. You stop, we stop. But we went in for the terrorist camp. Now we didn't take that call, did our attack, which we wanted to, actually punish him nice and proper, and then say, okay, stop. So
I
I
think two
don't
things
think
which
anybody was holding us back.
absolutely. I think two things which public needs to understand. A, the aim. Any war done without an aim is going to land you in problem. We had a aim which was going to get escalated based on the chess game which we talked about. We had thought through it that if they do this, we will do this, and that was done through red teaming, etc. Therefore, it was not that we were not prepared for the escalation. We were prepared for the escalation, but we didn't want to escalate. That was our initial objective. Look at what is happening in Russia, Ukraine. I mean, America is coming to mediate between Russia and Ukraine. The fourth year running, the entire country of Ukraine is down into dumps. We have our aim 2047 Viksit Bharat. For that,
Absolutely.
जितना थप्पड़ मारना चाहिए उतना ही मारेंगे, so that we do not escalate behind in our growth journey. Okay, next one. Don't put everything. If there is something you can. Indian Air Force at 42 squadron, now it is down to 29. Why? What went wrong? Yeah, this is your favorite. So you can answer this.
See, the government of India has sanctioned 42 fighter squadrons for the Indian Air Force in 1971. That's it.
Yes.
Now the numbers would go up, go down as the aeroplanes come in. And if you remember the chief of air staff, again the same air chief, uh, giving us actually not a pull down, but actually making a statement to the HL that you promised me 40 aeroplanes per year and you're not even given me 12. How are you going to catch up on that? Today they have caught up. So the numbers will build up. The MiG-21s are going off. The Tejas is in. Tejas Mark 1A will come in. The MCAs will come in. Everything is moving on time. It takes time to build a squadron. It's a very expensive thing. Today, if somebody says, here is the money, go buy aeroplanes, they are not available on the shelf. You place an order, it will come after 10 years. Like Tata has given an order for 500 aeroplanes. It is next 10 to 12 years that he'll receive those aeroplanes. So today the squadrons have gone down. Yes, the squadrons have gone down. We have a methodology in place that how these 29 squadrons will actually fill the gap of 42 squadrons. It's a little difficult way to do it. But yes, the Air Force is building up. And if you remember recently, in this year itself, the Defense Secretary was heading a team where they were, well, along with the Deputy Chief and the Vice Chief and the Secretary Defense Production, working out the capability voids of Indian Air Force and how to fill the capability void. That document is ready and presented to the Raksha Mantri. And Raksha Mantri said this is the year for reform. So that document which says that what are the capability voids of Indian Air Force and how we're going to fill up, the whole timelines have been given in that. Yes, they will never disclose it to us because once it is disclosing it to us means disclosing it to the enemy. So they are going to, they have identified the voids and they're going to fill those voids. So this 42-29 squadron, don't worry, we've done much. You've seen what we've done in Operation Sindoor. You've seen what we've done in the Balakot. You've seen what we've done in Kargil. So don't worry. The number of squadrons, the chief and his team knows how to actually fight the war with less number of squadrons, and the building up is happening.
And also, I would like
Next
to add
question.
here that the aerial assets have increased. So it will be loyal wingman concept. New concepts are also coming up. So don't go by numbers, go by the concept, strategy, and doctrine. That will give us the victory. And this question has also been kind of in some way answered by you, that Tejas Mark 1 and 2 will solve the issue of declining squadron strength. Yes, provided we have the engines, we are looking at alternatives. I think we leave this at this level only. If you want to add anything, you can go ahead and add it.
Like you were just mentioning the Mumty, which has come up, the manned and unmanned teaming, which will happen today. If four aircraft package has to go in for an attack, each aircraft has a role in that four aircraft package. Somebody is supposed to bomb, somebody to do the ELINT, somebody. Tomorrow you can make four packages out of these four aircraft with three unmanned aircraft along with them. So that's the concept which the HAL is working on. So if that happens, that means with four aeroplanes, now you're 16. So similarly, if you're
Absolutely.
29 squadrons into three, so you'll increase to that level. So things are working, not only Tejas Mark 1 and 1, 2, but more and more tactics will be brought in, and more things will be brought into this.
Yeah. The
Yes, sir.
Colonel RP has asked a question. I know him, so I thought we must get him
Mhm.
to hear the answer. Forces accepted that they were given free hand to go ahead the way they went, the way they want. Why it took 90 days to stamp that truth when USA China was supporting Pak's claim? Truth in time is better option. Yeah, he's known to ask such questions. I think
Mhm.
we have discussed this issue in great detail. Right on day one, it was mentioned that we didn't overplay that. And one of the reasons why we didn't overplay that was that possibly, as Air Marshal Sachdeva was saying, that we were looking at more confirmation, more, because आजकल एक सबूत मांगने का चलन चल चुका है हमारे. It is our own people who try to retard our claims, etc. Otherwise, what happened in Balakot? सबूत दो, ये करो, वो करो. उरी के लिए they were questioning the special forces of the Indian Army. I mean, this is some trend which has gone about restricting our narrative war, and I think we need to be up and about our narrative war, narrative building. This is something which we have to ride ruthlessly, and it is a whole of a nation approach as far as narrative war is concerned. So I hope
I
Colonel
think
RP sir that would have.
I,
Yeah,
I'll
go ahead.
I'll take on this question, sir. Colonel RP's question has got three parts in it. One is our hands were tied or they were not tied, and we've opened up 90 days later. Second is Pakistan's claim being validated by US and China. It's an entirely different thing. But where, when did this question arise that our hands were tied? When did this question come about by saying that no, they were not given a free hand? Oh, I mean, why was this discussion ever? This discussion never happened. It only said what all we did. Once this question was raised, it had to be clarified. This question, I think, was raised recently in the parliament only. So that's why it was clarified by the chief that no, nothing was. And both the chiefs came up together when the parliament session was on, and that's how they both of them came up together. No, this never happened. And I'm not. They didn't actually answer that question which came up in the parliament. That's not their business. But they said the nation has suddenly started asking questions that our hands were tied. No, they were never tied. So it was not 90 days. It was maybe when the questions were put forward and they came up. And USA and China were validating Pakistan's claim. It's got nothing to do with our leadership saying that the hands were not tied. We were given a free hand. On 13th of May, it was in an open discussion that four chiefs told us that we were told to do whatever we felt like doing. So the doubt never came about in the open media. So that's what I thought I like to add to Colonel RP's.
Yeah, two more questions. First one, ask sirs, ask sirs any more tips to increase politico-military infusion. I think it's already at the highest level. I don't think we need to take it even more further. Otherwise, there will be no difference between a political and a political uh, kind of organization. Our country has been built on a very, very clear guidelines, constitutional framework of military being totally apolitical, and political aspects are left to the political leadership.
See, political military infusion. I like to say something here is till 1st of January 2020, we did not have a military say in the military decisions. From the time the CDS has been created, remember, he's also secretary of a department in military of Ministry of Defense. So the secretary is the one who meets the prime minister every 100 days. All the 93 secretaries of this country, of the 93 department secretaries, meet the prime minister every 100 days. Earlier, it used to be the defense secretary going and meeting on behalf of the armed forces. Today is the CDS who goes and meets the prime minister on the this thing. That's the fusion or infusion which has happened between the military and the political leadership. Earlier, we had the bureaucracy in between. Today, the bureaucratic uniform person has become a bureaucrat. This is the only democratic country in the world where you have a uniformed democrat. That means you have a defense, you have a secretary, you have an additional secretary, and you have the three joint secretaries. All five of them are in military uniform, taking military decisions and military talk to the prime minister directly. So that's the infusion which has happened, and I think that's the best in the world which has happened today.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a very interesting question. I thought you may be able to throw some light. I'm not very clear about it. Indian version of Rafales costs three times more than F-35. It's actually the most expensive fighter jet in the world. You can clarify why this is the
Haha, see, buying an aeroplane is not like buying a mobile which will die off in 1.5 year, and when the new brand comes and you want to go and buy a new brand. Today, the Air Force requires the fourth generation, 4.5 generation, 5th generation, and the sixth generation aeroplane, and maybe the new generations, whichever come up thereafter. But the fourth generation aeroplanes play their role, 4.5 play their role. Now, when you're talking about F-35, I am surprised. Even after that Trivandrum incident, we are still discussing F-35 because there's so many memes which came up on the F-35 once we found that aeroplane stuck in this thing. No, no, that's just a joke. We'll not go into that. But when you buy an aeroplane, you buy it for next minimum 30 years. You don't buy it for 1.5 year when the new model comes up, and I'm going for the next 30 years. Which aeroplane is going to be cost effective was what the Indian Air Force went in for the selection between the aeroplanes when the Rafale was bought, whether it was the Eurofighter, Rafale F-16 or F-22 or whichever aeroplane was being thought of that time. It was the life cycle costing. The life cycle cost of Rafale was less than the other aeroplanes, as what I understand, sitting in the PP&FD chair, but per piece cost of a Rafale may be more than the other aeroplanes, but the life cycle cost was much cheaper, and that is what you have to see when you are buying an aeroplane these days. You can't buy a cheaper piece today, and it turns out to be expensive for the next 30 years. So this particular thing will be left to the professionals sitting in the air headquarters as to why they want to buy which aeroplane. First of all, an aeroplane which is to be bought has to be meeting the QRs which the Air Force has laid down. Thereafter, which will cost us cheaper per piece, stroke life cycle cost. This is how the aeroplanes are bought. So we will not, you and me are not an expert to go into this kind of this thing that why a Rafale is three times more expensive than F-35. Yes, sir.
yeah. Actually, you must read the book New Rules of War by an American uh, defense expert. In fact, he was a mariner who has actually highlighted the state of F-35 and how the US pilots look at F-35. They do not prefer to fly this, and that is why probably this is being offered everywhere for sale. They still prefer the F-16, which are much more nimble and much more faster, etc. So I think we should be evaluating every factor before we go in for particular aircraft. So it's not only the cost, it is also the way it will perform in operation, the life cycle cost which we mentioned. Last question, and we are done today because this was something which I felt needs to be answered and told to the public that it's not merely size and number. It's also about how you use it. It's about the man behind the machine. Over to you. We actually want a military industrial complex as big as USA or Russia. Rest everything else secondary to people of India. Yeah, your
We
comments on this.
actually
And
want a military Industrial complex as
Basically,
big as USA.
basic,
Oh.
basically he wants that our industries, etc., should be defense industry should be as big as the US and the. I think
It'll take time. I think we are at the right this thing with two defense corridors already getting saturated with the orders. I think the two more defense corridors have been announced. One in Maharashtra and one more in the northeast somewhere.
Bihar, Bihar,
So Bihar. No.
Bihar.
I think the industrial corridor it will take time, and we are moving very fast. The last of the scene 295 MW from the Spain has come in. Now the next 40 are going to be produced in India. So that's the way Indian industry is moving out. And what will happen after the 40? I'm sure the Tata is already working on how they will go beyond these 40 orders and how the model will change. I had heard the Tata telling us that when they went into this aeroplane, they picked up the drawings of this aeroplane and they immediately digitized them. Can you imagine the drawings of C295 MW, as per his statement, were not digitized? They have digitized them. That means now they can do simulations on that for betterment. This is how the industry is going to grow. But HCL, can you imagine the Sukhoi have been built by HCL, the Avros have been built by HCL, the Jaguars have been done by HCL. There's so much HCL is doing. Now the private players are coming in because money is required to do this. You just can't come and say, okay, I'm making an aeroplane, I'm making a air defense system, I'm making a radar. The DRDO had to design it, somebody had to do it within the government. Now it is going out. People will take time to get into this, and I'm sure you will have an industry, maybe not as big as US and Russia, because our requirement will be limited. We are not a global war machine as far as India is concerned. We are looking after our neighbors, so our industry will come up to that level. I had interacted with some foreign startups in FX Expo when I was at Disit PP and FD. And when they came forward and they said, "Sir, please come to our stall and see what I've got." I said, if you brought something here, it is worthwhile. But please tell me, how will you sell it to me? Because that's another target which they have to do. How do we make our procurement systems simpler for anybody who's manufacturing something to be brought into? Today, I'm sure the drone industry is coming in a very big way into the armed forces. The way I've interacted with these young boys, everybody is calling them for trials and orders are being placed. So things are changing. Don't worry, it will happen.
Uh, ab- Absolutely, and also you must understand that you expand your you expand your capabilities based on your requirements, right? We have never, I mean, if you suppose if we equate ourselves to the US has a power projection aim. Do we have that? We don't have it, at least for the time being. Secondly, aircraft manufacturing. US has six of them. Do we require six? Well, where will be the orders coming to them? I think we need privatization, but to an extent which meets all our requirements and meets also our ambitions of export. So with that, we'll call it a day. And thank you very much, Air Marshal Rajeev, for having spared your time for this particular podcast. We had a huge viewership today. It had crossed almost 70, and of course, subsequently as the video goes out, it will be even more viewership, and the subject being such that people were attracted to it. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Yeah.